Well, for more on this, I'm joined in the studio by our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, what more can you tell us then about Mojtaba Khamenei?
Well, there's quite a lot actually to say about him. As we've just been hearing in that report, he's 56 years old, second son of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed just over a week ago on the 28th of February. He fought in the Iran-Iraq war back in the 1980s, between 1987 and 1988, and he's a former member of the Revolutionary Guards of Iran. He is considered a hardliner, but he's only a mid-ranking cleric. He's not an Ayatollah. He's what's called a Hoja Tor Islam, which is the rank below that. His father wasn't an Ayatollah either when he became the spiritual leader of Iran back in 1989, but then was promoted to that later on, which is something that probably will happen also to Mojtaba Khamenei. He is also, bizarrely, has never held an elected position and is pretty unknown to the Iranian people, who many of whom have never even seen him or heard him speak in public. One of the other elements about this, which I think needs to be underlined, is that there are accusations of corruption against him, and the fact that he has managed to amass vast amounts of money in different accounts in the United Kingdom, in Switzerland, in the United Arab Emirates, by getting round US sanctions, particularly concerning the sale of Iranian oil, and there are estimates that his personal fortune could be in the region of about $100 million. But what is certain here is that there's no love lost between Mojtaba Khamenei and the United States, particularly as far as Donald Trump is concerned. And this is a way of the regime actually saying that, whatever the US is wanting, we are not going to do that. We are back to business as usual. And that is why he has been given this job. So what does it entail? It entails him being named for life. He heads the armed forces. He controls state politics. He dictates foreign policy and also security matters, and nominates the country's judicial leader. He is above the president of Iran and can dismiss the president if he wants to. So he basically has total control of what the country does and which direction it goes in. So someone with vast powers who is now taking the place of his father.
Well, there was some secrecy around his appointment. Officials didn't really reveal his name or identity in the beginning. Why?
Well, I think the reason for that is that because of this war and the impact of these strikes on Iran, the security apparatus around the supreme leader has been severely weakened. Remember that up until his death last week on Saturday, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was probably the most protected person in Iran. A faction within the Iranian Revolutionary Guards was responsible for his protection, protecting the president, protecting ministers. That faction has been severely weakened and damaged as a result of these strikes, which obviously led to the death of the former spiritual leader. So there has been panic amongst the leaders in Iran about how to deal with the nomination of a new spiritual leader, which is why there's been this delay, because normally the nomination of a replacement spiritual leader would happen pretty quickly following the death of the predecessor. This has taken well over a week to get to this point, which means that there's been a delay about when this announcement was going to be made. Yesterday, the announcement wasn't made, as you were saying. Then it was made very, very late last night to give the authorities time to get the new spiritual leader to a safe house to make sure that he's not going to be the victim of a strike. There are already rumours that he may have been injured in the attack which killed his wife and both his parents last week. So this is a way of the authorities preparing for him to take over. The problem for them is, well, he won't be seen in public. How is he going to run a country when he's not visible? He won't be making any appearances. It's going to be a very complicated setup in the future. What we're seeing here, I think, is two things from the Iranian regime. The first one is that they are saying, well, it's business as usual. Whatever the US and Israel are trying to do, we're showing the world that we are just going to carry on with the name Khamenei following on from his father. That is also something that is not usual in Iranian politics, because the former leader didn't want this to be a hereditary title, which is what it appears to be now. The second thing is, for supporters of the regime, it's a comforting nomination, because it's saying, yes, we're going to carry on as we were before, so therefore you don't have anything to worry about, because the new leader is also called Khamenei. There will be the same policies as before, despite the war with Iran, with the United States and with Israel. And the third point is for the opposers of the regime to say, well, whatever you try and do to try to overthrow the regime, we're going to come down hard on you, because things have not changed, so you better be very careful, because whatever happens from now onwards, if you try to take control of the country, as the United States is saying that you will be able to in a short period, that is not going to happen, because the regime is well in place. It hasn't been damaged. We have a new spiritual leader, and things are going to carry on as they were before. So I think there's a load of messages being given by the Iranians while this war is raging, to try to consolidate the position of the regime, which has been severely weakened.
And Philip, just lastly, there was an apology over the weekend by Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian for Iran attacking its neighbors. But what's all that about? I mean, we've seen strikes carry on.
I think a couple of points here which are important also to underline is that, as far as its neighbors is concerned, what Iran is saying is, okay, we are attacking areas in the Gulf, but only those areas that have links to the United States. They're US bases where US have troops, embassies, buildings that are being used by the United States, basically. This is not always true, because there have been attacks against other installations that have nothing to do with the United States. More recently, in the just last few hours, there was one against a desalination plant in Bahrain. The UAE has also launched attacks to try to fight off drones coming in to attack US bases in the country. It's to say, we haven't got a fight against you particularly, but we're fighting against the US to put pressure on those countries to cut ties with the US. Because many are saying, well, the US is not protecting us. The US is protecting Israel, but we haven't been seeing the US come in to protect us as a result of these strikes on our country from Iran, spreading out the conflict to a much greater detail or to degree. And the second point is that many of these countries don't want to have an open conflict with Iran, because they know that once Trump has gone, they're still going to have to live with Iran next door, which is a much bigger country and could pose a threat in the future to their independence as countries which are monarchies, that are based on oil sales, that are seen as secure, that have large amounts of foreigners living there and tourism. They don't want that damaged. That's why they want to keep good ties with Iran, because they don't want this to spiral out of control once Donald Trump has gone, and the war may have caused so much damage between now and then.